Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Chris Maloney back with you for another edition of CWN Weekly, episode number 27. Today is Friday, February the 19th, 2021, here in beautiful London, Ontario, and the weather is actually starting to get a little bit warmer. It's still winter outside, still lots of snow, but it is starting to get warmer outside. Gone down from the minus 20s, so to speak, down to about the minus 5s or 6s or so. Coming up, but I mean, it is winter, and we're still, in COVID, so to speak. So I mean, it's what else we got to do, so we can look at the snow and watch some sports and listen to some podcasts. So, anyways, like I said, Chris Maloney, London, Ontario, Canada, as we do every single week, anniversaries and birthdays. So if you look behind me, kind of that way. NXT figure of the one and only Shawn Spears. And it's I had two figures set out a couple of years ago with regards to him coming to London, Ontario. He was supposed to come to an independent show before he signed with AEW. And I picked up two action figures. The NXT one I didn't even know existed. And I ended up picking up in Toronto and still got the price tag on it. I think I only paid $15 for it, whatever the case might be. But it's pretty cool because it comes with, it looks like one of those belly buddy things that used to blow up, as well as a little trading card as well. Now, I'll probably never open it. Hopefully, I'll still, be able to get it autographed someday. But anyways, the reference to Shawn Spears is today. Well, actually, yeah, it is today, the 19th. So Chairman Shawn Spears, the one and only perfect 10, so to speak, born in 1981, which makes the guy 40 years old. So I've had the honor of meeting Shawn a couple times, over the span of the last 20 years or so. Very nice guy. Last time I actually ran into him was at Shoppers Drug Mart here in London, Ontario, and my girlfriend at the time had just gotten off of work. And we went over to Shoppers, and then sure enough, there's nobody in the store. And I looked down, and Shawn Spears, I mean, he's always had the height, right? And I looked down, I was like, is that Shawn Spears? And then sure enough, I go and, I shake his hand and say, hey, nice to see you. And that's the last time I saw him. I was always very respectful if I see somebody in public, but wrestling events are a different story. I mean, I'm kind of mark out, but again, 40 years old for the one and only Shawn Spears today. Tomorrow, 44 years old is the one and only Gail Kim. Somebody else I've had the honor and pleasure to meet, but she'll be 44 years old tomorrow. Definitely doesn't look it. She keeps herself in shape. One of the nicest, most humble people I've met as far as the wrestling business goes. And, 44 years old. And like I said, she does not look it. So her birthday is tomorrow. On Sunday, it would have been the birthday of the one and only Rhonda Bertha Faye Singh. She was born in 1961. Unfortunately, she passed away July 27, 2001 at the age of 40 years old. So way too soon to be, passing away. The interesting thing about Rhonda Singh Bertha Faye, I didn't realize she was Canadian until we had done, I think, a fantasy warfare thing last year. And she was one of the participants. And all of a sudden, when I started doing research on it, I was like, holy crap, she's Canadian. Obviously, you remember, her from WCW and getting involved with Miss Elizabeth and a couple of those matches there. You remember her for being part of Harvey Whippleman. I think I got to see her down in St. John, New Brunswick at a house show against Medusa, Alundra Blaze. I'd have to go back and check out the card. But anyways, I didn't realize she was Canadian. But I guess when I would have saw her, it would have been 95. So, I mean, she would have been, she passed away at 40. So she would have been early 30s. So, but anyways, unfortunately, she, like I said, passed away at the age of 40 years old. But Sunday would have been her birthday. So happy birthday, Rhonda Singh. And then the 23rd, the one and only Olivier, the Canadian gangster Aubin Mercier. Try to get the French in me. 1989, he was born, so 32 years old. He's an MMA fighter, lightweight division of the PFL, the Professional Fighters League. And I didn't realize until right when I was about to go on air, he's got his own podcast on YouTube. He actually launched a show today. It's in French, so I don't know if they do English ones as well. But Olivier, the Canadian gangster Aubin Mercier, 1989, 32 years old. So happy birthday to him. So guys, news of the week is this, and I'm excited. Progress Wrestling returns with Chapter 104, Natural Progression, February 20th, which just happens to be tomorrow on the WB Network. So they released an article on I want to say the 13th. Might have been before that. No, it was the 13th. Progress Wrestling is back. England's biggest independent wrestling promotion returns to action for the first time in nearly a year with Chapter 104, Natural Progression, premiering this Saturday, February 20th, streaming at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. GMT on WB Network. Chapter 104 see the start of a 7th Natural Progression Series tournament, which gives the future stars of British wrestling and the opportunity to break out on the biggest stage possible. Participants in previous editions of the tournament include Pete Dunne, Zach Gibson, Eddie Dennis, Tyler Bate, Flash Morgan Webster, among others. Past winners of the tournament include Mark Andrews, who used his victory to become Progress champion, and Toni Storm, who became the first ever Progress Women's champion by winning the 4th edition. So you can go and check out the article there, cwnonline.ca, as well as WB.com, of course. I had the opportunity a couple of years ago to see Progress Wrestling as part of a super SummerSlam week, so to speak. And it was interesting. It's a unique feel. Now, I did see them in Canada, but still with the promoters and the way it had played out, it's such a unique feel to it. And Eddie Kingston was actually on that show. It was interesting because he got on the mic, and then it's just a very interesting like I said, unique style as far as the promotion goes. So I will be watching that tomorrow, and it's on 3:00 in the afternoon. So it's it doesn't cut into UFC time, which is kind of cool as well. From there, WWE signs Blake Christian to developmental deal. That was last Saturday as well. That was unique. So I was getting ready for Impact Wrestling No Surrender to take place, and sure enough, I see that article, and I'm like, wait a second, this can't be right. And then sure enough, I read it, and he's in a match that night. So anyways, Blake Christian on his way to the WWE NXT Performance Center. So it looks like sometime soon they will be announcing a new class, because a lot of recent signings taking place. So look for him to be part of that new class there. He's only early 20s. I think he's 23. So he'll be a bright future ahead as far as I'm concerned. I predicted it wasn't No Surrender. It was Final. I want to say Final Destination, maybe. I forget the name of the Impact pay-per-view. It was back in December, and it was the tournament style. And Austin, not Austin Aries, but Austin, Ace Austin had won. And I predicted him and Blake Christian to be in the finals, and it was exactly how it played out. So, big things for him to come. No Surrender took place last Saturday. I'm not going to go into any kind of results or talk about it, because of the fact, if you want to hear my thoughts on it, check out YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, CWN Recap, where I talk about No Surrender 2021. But it was a good show. Kind of still disappointed Tommy Dreamer didn't win the belt, the championship there. But I mean, it's still his 50th birthday, and it was kind of cool to see Dreamer in action on his 50th birthday there. New Japan's Juice Robinson and David Finlay come to Impact Wrestling. I don't know if I turned the show off too soon, because apparently this clip played at the end of the show. I was watching on Fight, so not Fight Network, but Fight.tv, and I ended up watching all the show, and I might have turned it off too quick, because I do not remember seeing that. And the next thing you know, the internet's buzzing, and it's lighting up, and I'm like, what the heck? How are they talking about Finn Juice? But sure enough, Juice Robinson, David Finlay going to Impact Wrestling this past Tuesday, and it happened. So I was excited about that. Juice Robinson is one of those guys that I get a kick out of. And David Finlay, I didn't realize his connection. The last name Finlay until about a year ago, and I was like, holy crap, And then when you read about him, and you hear about his ROH stories and New Japan stories and stuff like that. Promising career, of course, but being alongside Juice Robinson, mentioned Toni Storm earlier on, it's pretty cool to see them here in North America. LA Knight arrives in NXT. That was big news from last Sunday. Not the biggest news, but big news from last Sunday. So LA Knight is Eli Drake. He's got the persona of probably the same type of character he had in Impact Wrestling, but name change, everything else. But he did a promo, I think it was this past Wednesday on NXT, and he hasn't said gravy train yet. He hasn't said dummy, yeah, but he said, and that's just a fact of life, and that's something that he's always said. So interesting to see what's going to happen with LA Knight there, and if they're going to bring up to the main roster. NXT Takeover Vengeance Day results. Again, I am not going to talk about that, because if you want to hear me think or my thoughts about it, CWN Recap, of course, that took place on Monday of this week, Family Day. So you can go check that out, YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitch. But big stories: Adam Cole shocks Finn Balor, O'Reilly, and the NXT universe with stunning betrayal, with left it open to this past Wednesday, And I'll get into that just momentarily here. WB Hall of Fame, Davey Boy Smith Jr. on WrestleMania weekend plans. So there's an article in Metro UK. It's hard to bring up the article, otherwise I'd be reading it right now because of the fact it's got ad blockers as far as Google Chrome goes. And to get rid of those ad blockers and try to do a show, it's very unique because I like things neat and tidy. But the fact is, it would basically blow everything up. So I just said, hey, go to Metro UK. The article is on CWNonline.ca, but the gist of it is Davey Boy Smith Jr. talking about him, his wife, not his wife, him, his sister, as well as his mom. Davey Boy's wife, Diana, talking about, what the Hall of Fame plans are and how the three of them have to divide up what they want to say about their dad. And just is a great piece there. But check that out, Metro UK. But you can check it out, the article link, CWNonline.ca, of course. ROH announces date for 19th anniversary pay-per-view. So I'm a huge fan of ROH to the point I was at a show a couple of years ago, end up buying a fanny pack. So I also got a piece of the table with regards to, right here. So that's my ROH fanny pack. For those listening to audio, I just had a show and tell, so to speak. As far as the fanny pack goes, that I bought a couple of years ago. I've also got, it's a Progress thing that I bought at that SummerSlam week as well. ROH kind of, I guess, key clip. And then I'm looking for something in particular. I might have showed it on the show before. It might have been my last podcast. But there we go. That is one of the coolest things I think I own as far as wrestling memorabilia goes, because I was there live. And the main event for ROH was the Briscoe brothers and basically TLC match, just anything went match against GOD, so the Gorillas of Destiny. The ROH, I think it was the ROH, but it might have been the... no, I do believe it's the ROH. So the ROH World Tag Team Championships on the line. But the cool thing was the Gorillas of Destiny had the IWGP Tag Team Championships with them. So there's a picture of me on the website of me with the Gorillas of Destiny with the titles. But anyways, the ROH thing, I love ROH. And I actually left a WXW show at midpoint, so to speak, to go down to be able to do part of the meet and greets for ROH and then watch the show. And that, I think I told the story a couple of weeks ago, was sitting beside, who is it? The girl's family. I'm having one of those slow days, I think. I'll get to it. Anyways, before the end of the article here, ROH announces date for 19th anniversary pay-per-view. Ring of Honor has been delivering the best professional wrestling on the planet for nearly 2 decades, and the company will celebrate its birthday by presenting the 19th anniversary pay-per-view on Friday, March the 26th. All ROH championships will be defended on the 4-hour extravaganza, which gets underway with the 19th anniversary Hour 1 airing for free from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on Honor Club. Best on the Planet, Stir City, Facebook, YouTube, Fight, and channels carrying the pay-per-view. 19th anniversary pay-per-view event begins at 9 Eastern exclusively on Honor Club, pay-per-view, and Fight. So ROHWrestling.com as well as CWNonline.ca. Angelina Love's family is the people I was sitting next to. I had second row seats, but see, that's why you should have more than one coffee a day, because you'd be able to, your brain kicks in a little bit better. But anyways, yeah, it was kind of cool moment for me, because I went to the show and all of a sudden Angelina Love's cousins are sitting next to me and they got all trash faced, and it was a fun night. But yeah, I try to promote ROH whenever I can because I love it and the history behind it. And then Fight Network ends up playing ROH Classics, so it's I love ROH. Mr. McMahon, Paige, Ricky Steamboat head to WWE 2K Battlegrounds. So that is taking place now. It started on the 10th as far as the new characters as well as the new movesets and arenas go. So February 10th through March the 24th is all those updates there. I think Mr. Perfect just got released, so I'm kind of excited about that because we have Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, which I've had the opportunity to see live just one time in my life, 15-minute time limit here at the London Gardens back in the day. But yeah, you can recreate that in WWE 2K Battlegrounds. WWE clarifies new policy on third-party social media mentions. This is interesting because it's back again. So if you guys remember, with regards to WWE, they try to put a stop on everybody's Twitch accounts, Twitter accounts, anything that they could do social media based and everything else. So anyway, Meltzer had a conversation with Brian Alvarez on a podcast. I had the ability to listen to it because I subscribe to F4W Online. But they're talking about here regarding a discussion on last night's Wrestling Observer Radio about WWE talent believing that they could have hashtags and or photos that would incent advertised products as part of the new social media guidelines the company has given regarding Twitter and Instagram. WWE has clarified its position. The new policy, which they say is not dissimilar to policies they have had for the past several months, is the talent is banned from monetizing their Twitter and Instagram by working with third parties. Company had already had this policy with Twitch, Cameo, and other social media channels, but had not specifically included Twitch and Instagram. And the article goes on. You can check that out at cwnonline.ca. But the summary is this. So Meltzer had made a kind of a comment where it's basically, say, for example, you're in front of a restaurant and you decide to take a picture in front of the restaurant, like as a WWE superstar, and then you hashtag maybe the restaurant's name or the restaurant. You could see the name, as far as the tweet or the Instagram post goes or whatever the case may be. WWE feels that self-promoting that restaurant. So all of a sudden, if they have ties with another restaurant chain, all of a sudden you're promoting that. That's kind of their base behind it. But in saying that, when you think about some of the deals that these WWE superstars, so to speak, have with the social media accounts such as Twitch and stuff like that, I think Lana or Rusev, one of the two, was making like $600,000 a year just off of social media. And that's absolutely insane. So when you think about the WWE, their contract there versus how much they're making social media, which they have full control over, it's a toughie, you know what I mean? And some people have walked away from the WWE. It's just a matter of how much money can you make personally and then how much money can you make professionally. When I say professionally, under contract at WWE, so to speak. So it's going to be interesting, especially with the new regime down there in the States with Joe Biden and Andrew Yang, of course, and what he said about this kind of thing. So it's nothing has been mentioned, further than that, but it's I'm going to say it's definitely in the works to see. I'd say by the summertime that something gets hammered out by the U.S. government, specifically Andrew Yang, on coming down on the WWE if he's actually got that power. So I guess we'll wait and see. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss to guest star in Peacock's upcoming Punky Brewster series. I thought I was done saying those names, Punky Brewster, back in the 80s when I was a kid, but no, it is back. February the 25th on Peacock. So guys, check that out if you have Peacock. It looks like all of season 1 is going to be released. Lineup announced for Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 5. So I still haven't seen Bloodsport 4, which took place last weekend. But I'm going to bring up the card here for Bloodsport 5 taking place tomorrow, actually. A lot of stuff taking place tomorrow. You got Progress Wrestling, you got UFC, free UFC at that, and then Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 5. So you've got, for the second consecutive weekend, Game Changer Wrestling and Josh Barnett are presenting a Bloodsport event. Last week's show aired on the official Bloodsport website and on Fight TV, and this week's show will air on the same platforms on February 20th, which is tomorrow. So the matches are as follows. Main event, Jon Moxley taking on Davey Boy Smith Jr., which is going to be insane. Jeff Cobb taking on Filthy Tom Lawler. You got J.R. Kratos taking on Chris Dickinson. Rocky Romero taking on Simon Grimm. Alex Coughlin taking on Royce Isaac. Cal Jack taking on Super Beast, Calvin Tankman versus Nolan Edward, and Calder McCall taking on Bad Dude Tito. I got to find out who Bad Dude Tito is because the name is it's kind of hilarious there. But that takes place tomorrow on Fight. So if you're looking for some wrestling, non-wrestling, so to speak, you can check that out tomorrow on Fight. So Josh Barnett's number 5, Bloodsport 5, so to speak. In some other news, and I laugh a little bit because there's two people in wrestling, so to speak, that have had issues. And the unfortunate thing is they've never seemed to be able to clear up their issues. I come from a generation where it was 1980s, 1990s wrestling. You know what I mean? A lot of guys passing away early because of drugs, alcohol, whatever the case may be. Guys who have been able to clean up their acts as well. So X-Pac, Sean Waltman, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. You've got Jake the Snake Roberts, who was just on AEW Dynamite this past week. I've got had the opportunity to meet him twice, and it's amazing to see Jake the Snake Roberts still able to do this thing called life, so to speak. Scott Hall, Nature Boy Ric Flair, those guys, you know what I mean? But one of those guys who hasn't been able to clean up his act is the one and only Teddy Hart. And when I say the other person, that's Tammy Sitch. And I believe Tammy Sitch is still incarcerated, but now Teddy Hart's incarcerated for evading arrest, possession of controlled substances, and more. So article Teddy Hart, real name Edward Anus, is back in jail, according to the Tarrant County Correction Center website. Hart was arrested on February 10th with charges listed as evading arrest, injuring child, elderly, disabled, and possession of controlled substances. The bond amount was not listed. New arrest is possibly related to a probation or parole violation that led to the warrant being issued for for his arrest and return to Texas. So again, it's I mean, as a wrestling fan, as a Canadian, you want to see him clean up his act. But again, it seems like every 6 months or so, something's happening with regards to Teddy Hart or, like I said, Tammy Sitch. But unfortunately, he's back in jail, and he's still got stuff ahead of him. But thoughts and prayers with Teddy Hart, to clean up his act. It's not impossible, I tell you that. Impact Wrestling pre-show February 16th, before the Impact debuted. Only caught part of it, but it's basically just a regular pre-show with Gia Miller, John, I want to say Burton, and as well as Josh Matthews. No idea that Josh Matthews only spelled his name with one T, by the way, until this past weekend. So, anyways, that is available on Fight Network before Impact Wrestling, as well as they do on YouTube as well. So it is available here in Canada. February 21st, Road to Castle Attack event canceled. Earthquake in Fukushima, Japan. So unfortunately, it wasn't a big card, but apparently the earthquake had done damage to the arena. So February 21st, like I said, the Road to Castle event has been canceled. Other New Japan news, Tetsuya Naito injury causes card havoc in Korakuen Hall. I got to slow down. Okada and Sho versus Evil and Togo end up being the main event instead. I'll go further into that just momentarily here with Tetsuya Naito. Stump WB's The Bump to win amazing WB prizes. So that was on the 17th. They released it on The Bump this past Wednesday. So if you want to hear about a contest there, go to CWNonline.ca. Just type in Stump the Bump, and you'll be able to bring that up and find out. But it's kind of cool. You win. I think one of the main prizes is an autographed championship belt by the one and only Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. So you'll be able to check that out there. Everrise on their humble backyard beginnings and favorite Canadian superstars. I tell you this, when they got signed, FLQ was going nuts there in Quebec. And, that's what I heard about their names there. But then all of a sudden they go down, and I see these guys, and to me, they're not that impressive. And then all of a sudden I watched the promo this past week with them and Mackenzie Mitchell, and it was hilarious. And it only went about 8-9 minutes in length, but they end up singing "Oh Canada," and it made me fans of them amongst everything else that they were talking about. But they talk about backyard wrestling and some of their favorite superstars. And Mackenzie Mitchell put them on the spot, and it was like WrestleMania main event, WWE Championship on the line, Kevin Owens versus Bret Hart, dream match. Who do you pick? I don't know. I would tend to probably maybe go KO, as much as I love Bret Hart. Both of these guys are behind me here. Bret Hart is always in the background carrying the Canadian flag. And then Kevin Owens is off to the one side. Cody Rhodes is off to the other side because, obviously the news on AEW this past week. But I don't know. That'd be a tough one. Bret Hart versus KO. That'd be interesting. Definitely a dream match. I might have to bring that up in 2K Battlegrounds and see, who beats who, so to speak. But like I said, Everrise, you can check the video out, CWNonline.ca as well as YouTube. But I became a fan of them. So I'm looking forward to tonight's event, which I'll get into as well just in a couple moments. NBC's Young Rock debuts exceeds 5 million viewers, and that was released on the 17th. Final number came out, 5,315,000 people watched episode 1, titled "Working the Gimmick." And to me, the show was over. I was like, wait a second, that's not long enough, but it's got me hooked already. And it's the different stages of The Rock's life. And the end of the show on Tuesday, basically he went into rock mode, and they were making fun of him in the beginning scene, and the next thing you know, he goes into rock mode. It was absolutely kind of cool, and it's cool to know that it's based somewhat on his real life, so to speak. But it was cool seeing the Iron Sheik in there, the Junkyard Dog, the Samoans, Andre the Giant. It's going to be interesting to see where the series goes, but definitely looking forward to that every Tuesday night on NBC as well as City TV here in Canada. But like I said, 5,315,000 people for Young Rock. That's nuts. We go from Young Rock to pilot film for new WB NXT Evolve show. So I'm going to bring that up just quickly here. I didn't even know if it was in the works, and also next thing you know, it's being reported by multiple news sources, and it's kind of cool. So in December, news emerged that WB NXT was considering a second show that would focus on those trying to make it on the NXT roster. Fightful reported Wednesday that the show is another step closer to being reality, with a tentative title of NXT Evolve, with Evolve founder Gabe Sapolsky and Jeremy Borash both heavily involved. Dave Meltzer confirmed that a pilot has been filmed, but couldn't confirm any other details. Sapolsky tweeted Wednesday evening, "Everything is a team effort at NXT. Everything is fluid and fluctuates. My name doesn't belong attached to anything like I'm running another independent promotion. Thank you." So, and it goes on to state back in 2018, which doesn't make sense. I think it was just last year, Evolve was bought out by the WB. But it was just a tape library, apparently. But now they're making something of it. So obviously, they might have the Evolve, that old school logo in that, but it'll be transitioned into an NXT WB thing. But I'm looking forward to it. It's kind of cool because a lot of people, NXT getting signed, don't necessarily have that airtime. You know what I mean? They have that 2-hour show, which leads into the takeover shows. But other than that, there's not, they have so much talent signed down there. And again, it's like the AEW Dark, where I heard somebody mention that a couple days ago, and it's basically their version of AEW Dark, but they got the US network as well as Peacock behind them now. So I can't wait to see it. So hopefully by the summertime. But like I said, it was news to me, and I am excited to see what happens with this NXT Evolve thing coming up. Edge grateful for chance to main event WrestleMania. I've been pinching myself for the past year. Article interview with SI.com, courtesy of Justin Barrasso. So we talked about Christian as well, and the news about Christian, Christian get the news 2 days prior to the Royal Rumble, and it's just a good article about how much Edge is loving being back in the wrestling business here. So, what I was referring to earlier, Tetsuya Naito injured to miss Awadi as well as Yamagata events. So I'm going to bring that up here. Hopefully I have it in front of me. And no, I don't, without going to the New Japan website. So I'll just give you the rundown here. So anyways, Tetsuya Naito had come out on, I think it was night 5 of Road to Castle Attack, and he was supposed to be in the main event, and he was supposed to be teaming with, I think, not Sonata. I think he might have been teaming with, it might have been Sonata. I don't. Anyways, but he came out, his right knee's injured. So, with that being said, they had to change the main event. So, like I was talking about earlier, with regards to Okada and Sho. And then now all of a sudden it's serious enough that he's going to miss the next couple of events. So he's missing Iwate, which was, I believe, today, and the Yamagata, which is tomorrow, which would make sense. So he's not young, and he's put his body through some damage. So get well, Tetsuya Naito, but he will be missing tomorrow's event as well, as far as New Japan goes. As well as New Japan, Jon Moxley interview, Red and Gold. It was released yesterday, the 7th, or sorry, 2 days ago on the 17th. You can check that at New Japan World, as well as New Japan's YouTube account, as well as CWNonline.ca, of course. Anytime I do CWN Weekly, I'd say about 90% of the stuff I talk about is on CWNonline.ca. So check that out. Road to Castle Attack Night 7 preview taking place February the 22nd, and Road to Castle Night 8 preview taking place 25th. So those will be the last 2 Road to events before the actual Castle events there. But Night 7, both of these taking place in Korakuen Hall, Tokyo, Japan. Main event, Chaos, Tomohiro Ishii, as well as Kazuchika Okada. Like I said, I got to slow down. Taking on Bullet Club, which is Evil and Jay White. And then you've also got Kota Ibushi and Hanma taking on LIJ, which is Tetsuya Naito and Sonata. So he is back for that one. As far as right now goes anyways. LIJ again, so Shingo Takagi Bushi, as well as Hiromu Takahashi taking on Bullet Club, which ELP, Taiji Ishimori, as well as Yujiro Takahashi. Then we've got Sho, Toriyano, Yoshihashi, and Hiroki Goto taking on Bullet Club, which is Jado. Chase Owens, Tamatonga, and Tangaloa, GOD, of course. And then the first match on the card is Hiroshi Tanahashi, Hiroyoshi Tanzan, Gabriel Kidd versus the United Empire, which is Jeff Cobb, Will Ospreay, as well as the Great Okan. So that is Night 7, available in New Japan World. Then we go on to Night 8, which is the 25th, like I had said. Main event, IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. The Bullet Club, which is ELP, and Taiji Ishimori taking on LIJ, which is Hiromu Takahashi and Bushi. So that should be interesting there. Match number 4 of the night, Kota Ibushi, Yuji Nagata, and Tomoaki Hanma taking on LIJ, which is Tetsuya Naito, Sanada, and Shingo Takagi. We've also got third match of the night, Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi taking on Bullet Club, which is Jay White, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa. We've got second match of the night, Kazuchika Okada, Toriano, and Sho taking on Bullet Club, which is Evil, Chase Owens, and Dick Togo. And then we got first match of the night, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Satoshi Kojima, and Yota Tetsui taking on United Empire, which is Great O'Khan, Will Ospreay, as well as Jeff Cobb. So, guys, check that out if you get a chance. February 22nd, as well as February the 25th, which happens to be my mom's birthday. So that'll be a cool day. Conan hospitalized with serious kidney issue that was come out on the 18th. So I'm just going to bring up the article there because there was an update that happened just before the show here today. So I'll talk about that just momentarily here as well. So this came out on February 18th, very early in the morning. Wednesday's Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer reported that Conan is currently hospitalized with a kidney issue, one that Meltzer said is pretty serious. Meltzer didn't have any additional details confirmed, but said the situation was very concerning and that there may be more known on Thursday. And it goes on to say, now retired from the ring, he has stayed involved in pro wrestling with several organizations, including AAA, Impact, and MLW, where he has been feuding with Selena De La Renta. Even did an appearance on November 2020 edition of AEW Dynamite, where Chris Jericho's Inner Circle went to Las Vegas. So that was then. And you know what? I'll see if I can bring up the article right now as far as the update status goes, because like I said, that was a couple days ago here. And then just before I went on the air here today, Conan doing better after COVID-19 diagnosis, released from the hospital. So that was today, just before I went on the air. According to Dave Meltzer, again, Conan was released from hospital Thursday and is doing better. Former Mexican wrestling legend tested positive for COVID-19 and was hospitalized this week afterward due to a serious kidney injury. Following a 2007 kidney transplant and side effects from anti-rejection drugs, he had been very cautious in the pandemic due to a weakened immune system. Says he was 57 years old, said he was bedridden for 3 days before getting his diagnosis and going into the hospital as his kidneys were failing. It's unknown how he got the virus and whether he still has it. But it is good news. He is out of the hospital as of yesterday. And, thoughts and prayers with Conan there, 57 years old. And he's one of the staples as far as Mexican wrestling goes. I mean, the guy's been going since the 90s, so to speak, WCW, and even before that. So thoughts and prayers to get well for Conan there. Another article, what will the stars of Impact sacrifice on Impact Plus? That came out yesterday. March 13th is their next pay-per-view. So you get Impact Sacrifice taking place March 13th on Impact Plus, as well as Fight. Snickers to sponsor WrestleMania for the 6th consecutive year. That was released as well yesterday. So you're always kind of used to the past couple of years, like myself, being used to the Snickers logo being part of WrestleMania. So that's going to be continuous there. I didn't realize they were owned by Wrigley. So that's kind of unique. Report, large number of WB employees getting stock award. So that was on the 18th, which was yesterday. I'm going to bring up the article here because I hadn't had a chance to read it. But I did save the link here. So citing multiple sources, WrestleNomics, Brendan Thurston tweeted Thursday that a large number of WB employees are being given a $3,000 stock award that fully invests in March. The news comes roughly after a week after the company told employees that there'd be no impending raises, bonuses, and promotions coming, understandably causing some negative feelings as the result. It's unknown whether the stock award was directly tied into the unhappiness of the announcement. And then Thurston noted that not all employees were getting the award. So it had come out, like the article said, with regards to no bonuses and stuff like that. And there was a lot of disgruntled employees. And because of that, obviously now it looks like they're trying to make right with some of them. But it remains to be seen if there's going to be any further news with regards to that. He's to undergo surgery on March the 1st. Looks like it's stuff with regards to hernias. His body was more damaged than what he thought, but thoughts and prayers and strength are with him as well with regards to upcoming surgery. WB brain damage case being appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. This has been coming out the past couple of days with regards to wrestling news here. So So I'm just going to bring up the article here, which is being reported all over the place. The brain damage lawsuit against WB was dismissed in September 2020. Several former talents that work for the company claimed in the suit WB did not protect them from repeated head injuries. The case was originally brought by Billy Jack Haynes, Russ McCullough, Matt Weiss, as well as Ryan Sakota in 2016. Other names listed on the suit were Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Road Warrior Animal, Paul Mr. Wonderful Orndorff, King Kong Bundy, as well as Mr. Fuji. All the plaintiffs, except for Orndorff, have passed away. So it's going to be interesting to see, like I said, with the new regime with regards to WB and the Biden administration there, to see what happens with this one. Obviously, it's been shut down in the past. WB's got their good lawyers there and stuff like that, but it'll be interesting to see where this one goes as well. Other news, Mike Bennett as well as Maria Kanellis signed to ROH through the end of June. That was reported today. Report as well, Kairi Sane, I haven't said that name in a while, Kairi Sane unable to get WB permission to work Stardom's 10th anniversary show. So, I mean, I realize they're a company, and I've been following them since the time I was 3 years old. You know what I mean? But the fact is, when it comes down to it, it's tough to know that they pull rank on stuff. It's okay. I'll put it this way. Tony Khan has been talking about the forbidden door. He's also mentioned about cross-promoting and doing something with the WB. And yet they've got a company like Stardom over there in Japan, which New Japan Pro Wrestling is affiliated with. And they're, saying no to Kairi Sane as far as, doing a one-time for the 10th anniversary. And to me, that is garbage. It's I understand they still own her contract or intellectual rights or whatever the case may be. But it's a one-time thing for a 10th anniversary. And WWE, I just don't get it. But I'll leave it at that. But, like I said, Tony Khan talking about opening the forbidden door, so to speak. And I don't necessarily see the WWE ever being part of that. Why isn't Matt Cardona in AEW anymore? That was interesting. So Chris Van Vliet had an interview on YouTube, just a little snippet, but Cardona basically said that he's not looking to sign a full-time contract. He's basically said he had a long-time relationship and he wasn't looking to get into another long-time relationship. So he's enjoying doing his podcasts and obviously his action figures and just basically being a free agent to do what he wants to right now. So good for him. Edge says the only time he and Christian ever got into a fist fight was over NHL 94. Edge is a gamer apparently, and he was talking about that in Super Mario 3. With regards to NHL 94, I grew up playing it on SNES, but it had a Sega Genesis. I had a Sega Genesis, but my best friend back in the day had a Super Nintendo. So anytime NHL would come up, Madden included, but it was always NHL and Madden, we would get together and we'd have like little mini tournaments and stuff like that, the same way Edge and Christian used to. And I can see the passion behind it because it was, if you're within that age group, so to speak, it's SNES or Sega Genesis games back in the day used to get intense. I guess you could probably relate it to Fortnite or Call of Duty or whatever the case may be nowadays. But back in my day, I can definitely relate to NHL 94, which is kind of cool. Where are we? Underground returns this coming Wednesday, so it looks like no more live shows for a little bit. Court Bauer just stating that they're going to take a break, and nothing wrong with that because MLW's got a lot of footage in the can, some old school stuff with regards to CM Punk, as well as one name I'm missing. CM Punk and Steve Corino. That's the other name I was thinking as well. AEW Sammy Guevara not expected back in Impact Wrestling. That has been a circus for the past week or so. But it says, I'm going to bring up the article because it's different from what I had been reading as far as the internet goes. But following a disagreement with creative before a short-term Impact Wrestling run, Sammy Guevara isn't expected to return to the company, according to Dave Meltzer in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter. Following his on-screen departure from the Inner Circle and Dynamite, the AEW standout arrived in Nashville, Tennessee, to work the February 9th to 11th Impact tapings as part of the Angle. However, he didn't like the creative plan, and after making some suggestions that were turned down, he was told he wasn't needed. So the stuff that I had been hearing about was with regards to Sammy Guevara as well as being part of Decay, but that's got nothing to do with this. Apparently the Decay factor has got to do with regards to the new guy there, Black Taurus, and that's how his name got mentioned. But With regards to it, it said Guevara, where are we here? One story Meltzer could not confirm was that Guevara was supposed to be part of a 6-man tag on next week's show, where the winning team would go on to be in a 3-way match for an X Division championship match. He was set to team with Ace Austin and Chris Bay against Willie Mack, Josh Alexander, and Trey Miguel. Austin and Bay will team with Black Taurus instead. Guevara reportedly suggested winning the X Division championship before returning to AEW with it. He would never lose the title and would be stripped at one point and then put up the grabs for in a tournament. So that to me makes more sense. So the stuff that had come out on the internet was that he was supposed to be joining Decay, but that wasn't the case at all. Black Taurus's name got put into it because Sammy Guevara was supposed to be part of that. That would have excited me as a wrestling fan to see him part of that group with the Josh Alexanders and obviously the Chris Bays and stuff like that. Why he would nix it, I don't know. Obviously, there's more to the story, but the original reports about Chris Jericho, basically talking to Don Callis and saying, hey, you're not welcome and get lost and blah, 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 blah. There's always more to the story. This makes more sense, but why he turned that down, considering the fact he's in the mix with guys like MJF and Darby Allin and Kip Sabian and those guys, I don't understand why he turned down something like that, especially with, like I said, a little bit biased with Josh Alexander, Ace Austin, Chris Bay in the match, Trey Miguel, and then Willie Mack. So I don't get it. So I guess we'll have to wait and see here. WWE's Bo Dallas still under contract, preparing for life after wrestling. So he's been on the shelf for quite a while now. Apparently the rumor, so to speak, the truth, so to speak, from what I've heard is the fact is he is, the creative has nothing for him. And that to me is complete garbage. But apparently he owns a farm and, apparently he, has been doing some farm work and apparently he's with Liv Morgan, which I didn't realize. So that is, who his tie is, outside of the ring. But it's weird because Sarah Logan's got her own kind of farm thing going on too, and the Liv Morgan's. But apparently he's looking. That might be it as far as wrestling goes, which sucks because he is a rotunda. You know what I mean? I grew up watching his dad, and then teaming with Barry Windham, and obviously Bray Wyatt and everything else. But interesting to know that he's thinking about life after wrestling. And last little bit of news as far as news goes: 5 greatest Impact versus New Japan Pro Wrestling matches ever. Impact Plus top 5, and that is on YouTube right now. And some of the names in there, and they could have went a lot of different ways as well. But Tanahashi's in there. The main number 1 that they talked about was Kurt Angle taking on Yuji Nagata. I believe that was at the Tokyo Dome, just from the looks of it. But Tanahashi's in some of those clips. Naito's in some of those clips as well. So guys, check that out on YouTube as far as Impact Wrestling goes. Rumors of the week, and you can hit me up, feedback at cwnonline.ca if you want to share your thoughts with me. But nothing I've seen reported, but the 3 rumors I want to talk about is Okada opened the Forbidden Door. Thoughts on Okada going to Impact Wrestling or AEW? I think if it's going to happen post-match as far as Kenny Omega, John Moxley goes, which would be absolutely cool and interesting to see. But Okada here in North America as his Rainmaker gimmick, oh man, that's I'd love it, especially if it has anything to do with Omega. Next, Taya Valkyrie signed with the WWE. It's been reported, but nothing's come out as far as solid news goes. Where do you guys think she's going to be? Is she going to be NXT? Is she going to be part of the Performance Center? Is she going to be immediately called up? What do you guys think? And then something else I heard just today, Andrade back to NXT with Santos Escobar and everything else going on with him. Maybe he looks to bring in somebody else to deal with Karrion Kross. So Andrade would be perfect as far as that group, Legado de Fantasma goes. So obviously they broke him up with Zelina Vega as well as Garza on Raw there. So with Andrade's, being tight with Charlotte and obviously the WWE Universe and everything else, bring him back to NXT. I'd love to see it. Excuse me. It's worked out for Balor. Finn Balor is also worked out for Ember Moon. So Andrade back to NXT, especially right now. I'd love to see it. So guys, hit me up. Feedback at cwnonline.ca as far as your thoughts go there. So highlights of the week are this: Yuka Sakazaki defeats Mei Saruga. Emi Sakura defeats Veni. Ryo Mizunami defeats Maki Ito. And then Aja Kong, 50 years old, defeats Rin Kadokura. Hopefully I pronounced most of those names right. In the first round of the Japan bracket of the AEW Eliminator Tournament for the Women's Championship there, a winner goes on to face Hikaru Shida. The next bracket is going to be taking place this coming Monday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. But that was the first. Aja Kong, 50 years old, going through. That's pretty cool. Raw highlights. Raw was pretty good this week. Ms. McIntyre promo to start it off. Riddle and Lucha House Party defeats the Hurt Business. Bad Bunny wins the 24/7 championship. Flair and Asuka defeats Evans and Peyton Royce by DQ. I don't know where the DQ came in, but the fact is this is where basically where we hear Lacey Evans said that she was pregnant. Ric Flair's wooing around ringside there, but it is real life pregnancy. And from what I've heard, she might be going into a type Maria type thing where she's still going to be on camera as far as a superstar goes. But it's only a matter of time before they have to take her off air. But yeah, congratulations, Lacey Evans there. Kingston defeats The Miz to get into the Elimination Chamber. Baszler defeats Lana. Gauntlet match, which ends the show, and I think it went an hour. AJ Styles defeats Kofi Kingston first. Drew McIntyre comes in, defeats AJ Styles. Drew McIntyre defeats Hardy. McIntyre defeats Orton by countout. The countout was because basically every single person in the Thunderdome there turned into Alexa Bliss, freaked Randy Orton out. And it was interesting, but so yeah, Orton's out of that match, and then Sheamus comes in and beats up Drew McIntyre to win it all. So Sheamus is going to be last in this coming Sunday at Elimination Chamber, so that was kind of cool there. AEW Dark highlights: 12 matches taking place. Butcher and Blade was part of it, as well as Moxley. So Moxley actually wrestled on Dark. Impact highlights: TJP defeats Alexander to retain the X Division Championship. Trey Miguel defeats Willie Max Tavares, as well as Suicide. Cardona defeats Hernandez. Finn Juice defeats Reno Scum. Tennille Dashwood defeats Nevaeh. Still friction going on between Nevaeh as well as Havoc. And the Moose defeats Streamer in the main event, Old School Rule Style. ROH highlights: LSG defeats Tony Deppen. The Foundation, Lethal and Titus Lethal, Titus and Wheeler Yuta defeats the Foundation. Yes, that was not, I didn't screw up there. Foundation versus Foundation match. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll have to go back and find out how it gets set up. But like I said, Lethal, Titus, and Wheeler Yuta defeats Gresham, Williams, and Fred Yehi. I'll eventually get that name right. MLW presented Filthy Island this past Wednesday. Dominic Guarini defeats Mona Loa. Still getting used to the MLW current names there. Kevin Koo defeats Zenshi. Alicia Attell did an interview with TJP. Rocky Romero defeats Gringo Loco. Azteca Jungle Fight, which was Mil Muertes defeating Savio Vega. Eventually, apparently this played on through the whole show, and that match was presented by Selena De La Renta, and then Loki defeats King Mo. Dynamite, a long show taking place here, but not too bad. Dynamite took place. Hardy and Page defeats TH2. They announced that there's going to be a money for money match taking place up on Revolution there, so look for that. Riho with a return. It was interesting to see Riho back 11 months. That music hits, kind of a little bit emotional because it's the toll that COVID has taken. But to see her back in this tournament was cool. A little bit of ring rest on her, but she's in the ring with a legend in Serena Deeb, so it was a good match. OC, Orange Cassidy defeats Dr. Luther. Team Taz and Sting, they had a promo, and basically Sting got powerbombed by Brian Cage, which was unique. And he took a bump, and Brian Cage basically, it's cool for him to say he powerbombed Sting, which is, obviously going into the Revolution match as well. Omega and Callis Nakazawa are in kindergarten class reading a Young Bucks book to the students. Basically it ends with Nakazawa getting picked on by the kids. It was kind of comical there. Young Bucks defeat Santana Ortiz to retain. I thought it might have went the other way. There was one point in the match I was like, holy crap, they're going to win. And then obviously Young Bucks retain though. Brandy and Cody, they revealed to have a baby girl coming up. Congratulations to them as the parent to two teenagers as well as a toddler. Enjoy it when she's a baby, because once she gets older, it's toddlers and teenagers. They're tough, I tell you. But congratulations, baby girl, on the way for them. FTR defeats Matt and Mike Sydal. They go to cut the hair of Mike Sydal post match, and Jurassic Express show up. And Luchasaurus has got a new mask with new horns and darker green, so he looks a little bit tougher and meaner. and the fans in attendance are doing the Jungle Boy theme. So that was interesting there. Moxley, Archer, and Phoenix defeat Kingston, Butcher, and Blade in the main event. Omega and the Good Brothers come out post-match and do a beatdown. And then Omega does what the internet's been talking about the past couple of days, stating at Revolution it's going to be an exploding barbed wire death match. So it was interesting as well. So F4W, Wrestling Observer, had an interview yesterday with Mox. And one of the things that they had talked about was with regards to, you've got a kid on the way with Moxley. Do you really want to go into this match? And Mox just playing it cool. It's like, whatever, man, so. But it'd be interesting to see that match take place on Revolution. And one of the things they mentioned on the podcast as well is if they're going to do it, why not do it now with no fans in attendance where things can kind of shoot up into the crowd and stuff. And, they can have a lot of theatrics taking place. So, it's going to be interesting. I'll tell you that. NXT highlights. Kyle O'Reilly promo opens the show. He's looking for Adam Cole. He doesn't come out. He gets Roderick Strong instead. Then he gets Finn Balor, sets up the main event. Blackheart and Moon defeats Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Gargano's on commentary. The white van shows up. Austin Theory finally returns, so he's back with them. Ruff defeats Swerve. Swerve attacks him post-match. Obviously, the heel Swerve. Be interesting to see what they do with this guy, but I think there's going to be some call-ups before they actually give the guy a chance. Kenzaro Carter defeats Aaliyah as well as Jessie Kamea. Then we see what is her name? There was a post-match thing that took place. Guys, go check it out on YouTube. Where are we here? Beth Phoenix, MSK, Gonzalez, Dakota Kai. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler promo took place. It was interesting because Beth Phoenix was with the champs as far as the Dusty Rhodes Cup goes. And then all of a sudden, Dakota Kai as well as Gonzalez get interrupted by Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Literally, Beth Phoenix as well as MSK take back off to the corner. Somehow they get popcorn and they're just watching the show. And, there's back and forth between Gonzalez as well as Nia Jax. Something I had mentioned on last week's show or the show before with regards to who I want to see. And I'd love to see Nia Jax and Raquel Gonzalez and go face to face. And they did. And I can't wait to see the match. And the match is actually going to be taking place March the 3rd, as well as MSK challenging against Danny Lorcan and Oni. I think I screwed up their names. Orkin and Birch, though. Then from there, we go to Kushida defeating Tyler Rust by forfeit. So Malcolm Bivens got involved there. Zoe Stark defeats Valentina Feroz. And then Pete Dunne, Oni Lorcan, and Danny Burch defeats Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong in the main event. Adam Cole comes out, lays out Balor and O'Reilly. And I know there's a lot of talk about O'Reilly this past week, but I'll leave it at this. He's fine. He's safe. He's a good superstar, I'll tell you that. And he is a Canadian boy. So it's interesting because the way the show ended was Adam Cole with that championship holding on to it. Finn Balor laid out and Kyle O'Reilly getting stretchered out. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this. NXT UK highlights. NXT UK Heritage Cup champion A-Kid defeats Shaw Samuels 2-1 in 5 rounds. Ben Carter defeats Josh Morrell. Danny Luna defeats Alea James, and Rampage Brown in the main event defeats Joe Coffey. Then we go to ratings. So quickly here. Raw, 1,810,000 people, 0.57 of the 18 to 49 demo. First for the night, Canada had 233,600, 132,100 in the 25 to 54 demo. They got beat by hockey, which was the Sens versus the Leafs. So tough night to be up against them. Impact, 197. So they're actually up this week, 0.06 in the 18 to 49 demo, 117th for the night. So they are up, and I want to see them continue 200s, 300s. They've got all the talent in the world. It's just a matter of the fans getting behind them again. AEW 747.31 in the 18 to 49 demo, 4th for the night. And then it was close though. So NXT 713.16 in the 18 to 49 demo, and then 39th for the night for NXT. SmackDown preview tonight. Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, Cesaro taking on Jey Uso, Baron Corbin, King Corbin, and Sami Zayn for the Elimination Chamber momentum, as the article put it. Don't know if anything's been updated since 2:30, but that was what it was then. And then 205 live preview is actually up. So 8-man tag team match: Mansoor, Kurt Stallion, Jake Atlas as Shantae the Adonis. No, excuse me. Taking on Bolly Rise, 8-man tag team match, like I said. That's the Bollywood Brothers, Bollywood Boys, as well as Ever Rise, calling themselves Bolly Rise. And then August Gray taking on Arya Davari as well. And the New Japan Strong preview for tonight. Leo Rush taking on ELP El Fantasmo. MMA quick news: Canadian Jillian Robertson was dropped from UFC 258, the undercard, due to illness. That I didn't realize because I did last week's show and talked about it, and then all of a sudden the day of Sportsnet.ca had put out that she was dropped. It wasn't COVID related from what I had heard, but she was not on the card there. Usman versus Burns fight results are up, CWNonline.ca as well as UFC.com. But Usman put him away within 3 rounds there, so it'll be interesting. And apparently there's a new fight to be set up, and it's not GSP. Although GSP had come out to compare his skills to Usman's after UFC 258. I believe that was either TSN.ca or Sportsnet.ca. But anyways, it's GSP is not looking to come back anytime soon. UFC and TikTok announced groundbreaking sports content partnership. That was yesterday. That was announced. So apparently they're going to have their own show on TikTok. I don't know much about TikTok other than it shows clips. I don't know how they're going to do a whole show. But apparently they've done New Year's Eve stuff and everything else. So I'll have to look into how to watch UFC on TikTok there. But that was announced yesterday. UFC.com, you can find that out. It'll be on CWNonline.ca sometime this weekend. As well as the last little bit of MMA news. UFC Fight Night Blades versus Lewis taking place tomorrow. Main card 8 p.m. On TSN 5. Prelims at 5 p.m. on TSN 5. Main event heavyweight bout. Curtis Razor Blades. Love that name. Curtis Razor Blades, number 2 ranked heavyweight, taking on Derek the Black Beast Lewis, who was number 4 as far as heavyweights go. So guys, that is it as far as pro wrestling news and mixed martial arts news goes. No boxing news for this week. Hopefully next week though. So as we do every single week, I take a little break, get some water into me, and then we come back and talk about Canadian independent wrestling. So guys, check out these promos and we'll be back just momentarily here.
Ultimate Championship Wrestling returns on Friday, March 5th and Saturday, March 6th with 2 explosive shows back-to-back at the Spryfield Lions Club, featuring Atlantic Canadian Champion Mia Malik, the upperclassman Jefferson James, the world's greatest professional wrestler Charlie Hubley, the Wild Thing Casey Williams, the concussion dealer Troy Merrick, and 20-year professional wrestling veteran Lincoln Steen. Tickets are on sale now. Get your tickets now by calling 902-233-3663 or emailing ucwtickets@gmail.com. VIP tickets are $25. General admission tickets are just $20. Don't miss UCW's return to Spryfield on Friday, March 5th and Saturday, March 6th at the Spryfield Lions Club. Please visit facebook.com/UCWVIP for more details.
Hey, are you getting tired of the grind? Getting tired of the same old? Getting tired of living in an echo chamber? Well, if you are, tune in to the Duke You Suck podcast with Duke Durango. We'll be talking wrestling, sports of all kinds, politics, medicine, and whatever else we want to get into. What I'm really looking for is for you to go on a journey with me. Perhaps we find some common ground and hopefully have a laugh along the way. So watch this space for the first episode dropping soon, the Duke You Suck podcast with me, Duke Durango.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Hashtag we are CIW, which stands for Canadian Independent Wrestling. Check us out, CanadianIndependentWrestling.ca. Forward you to the Facebook group, and then you can promote. So thanks to UCW Pro Wrestling. Like I said, returning to Halifax, Nova Scotia, March 5th and 6th. That is coming up in a couple weeks there, as well as welcome to the Duke You Suck podcast, which was came out today, the promo for it anyway. So that is Dirty Duke Durango, and he's going to be doing that on YouTube. No official YouTube link, but if you search Dirty Duke Durango on YouTube or check out CWNonline.ca, you'll be able to see the promo there. So interesting to see him coming up, because he is one of the guys back in the day. When I say back in the day, I'm talking like 20 years ago when I started doing my original not podcast, but website. And he was one of the names that I knew from, the Alberta area and stuff like that. PWA, which is Prairie Wrestling Alliance out there. And it's interesting to see him still relevant in 2021, so to speak. And then when you talk about UCW Pro Wrestling, it's the Maritimes, of course. New Scott, Harold Kennedy behind that promo there. And, some of the names like Cowboy Hughes and I'm forgetting some of them. It's like I said, only one cup of coffee today. But I love the fact that when I think about when I first started doing my original website back in like 2001, all the way through 20 years later, and still seeing some of the names relevant. It's absolutely amazing. New Scott's changed quite a bit since then, but we'll leave it at that. But like I said, UCW Pro Wrestling, Halifax, Nova Scotia, March 5th and 6th. You'll be seeing info up on CWNonline.ca. That same promo is up there already, but news with regards to the event itself. I don't know if there's anything with regards to... I'll have to look into that for next show. We get a couple of weeks, but it is nice to see independent wrestling actually coming back. And like I said, the Duke Durango podcast, stay tuned to CWNonline.ca as well as our YouTube page to be able to find out about that. NSPW first virtual event on Saturday, March the 6th. That was released on Facebook. So NSPW North Shore Pro Wrestling. I'm going to bring up the article here because that was on Facebook, and I actually found that one there. So just a sec here, just waiting for it to load. And good old Facebook. So big news for Canadian wrestling fans. This was February 17th. NSPW is having the first virtual event, and it's only $5. So they've got Marco Estrada taking on Ivan Sullivan, Michelle Plante taking on Steven Sullivan, Stefan Sullivan, Travis Toxic taking on Dylan Donovan, and Matt Falco taking on Jeff Saunders. And then the English translation I had earlier on, and my apologies, guys. But you can check that out. Go to facebook.com/North Pro Wrestling for more information on that. But that is an event that is taking place, looks like March the 6th. So big weekend for Canadian Independent Wrestling coming up. And then from there, we go into NSW Make 'em Wait number 3, taking place on Sunday, March the 28th. I saw that on Twitter. I haven't seen anything more about it, but once I have more information about that, I will post it here on CWN Weekly as well as CWNonline.ca. But the good news is independent wrestling slowly starting to come back, and I think I said it last week. I've got that feeling that itch, so to speak, as far as wrestling goes, independent wrestling goes towards the summertime. That's when I feel it's going to hit, and I can't wait because I have not been into an independent show in over a year. So it's I'm looking forward to it. So stuff released this week as far as Canadian Independent Wrestling goes. Free match, Trent Seven in the North taking on the A1 Originals. That is courtesy of A1 Wrestling. That was on the 13th. 365 Pro Wrestling Podcast, episode 90 with CC Moss. It was on the 15th. Spencer Love interviews Casey Lennox on the 16th. Vidcast 38 with the one and only George Mackay featuring Ashley Slashley. What a name. On the 16th as well. She apparently was the valet or the manager of Champions. Just heard her name for the first time this week. New Evolved on Rogers TV, episode number 95. Carlito Speaks, King versus Stevens, and Peters versus Maxwell. That was on the 17th. Another free match by A1. So Lufisto taking on Kobe Durst, Intergender Wrestling, that was released yesterday. Vidcast 39 featuring Jeremy Prophet was released yesterday as well from George Mackay, Straight Talk Wrestling. Episode 79, Vertigo versus Fuerza, as well as Sane versus Banks. Tyler versus Tarek for the Niagara Regional Championship, Bordertown Pro Wrestling, that was released last night. MPW Into the Layer, episode 14, Magnificent. Mitch Clark taking on Dark Horse, that was released yesterday as well. And then episode number 84, which was the Barbarians taking on Justin Graves and Steve Brown, was released today by CPW, which is Courage Pro Wrestling. So guys, check that out. Two more pieces of news as far as Canadian Independent Wrestling goes. Spencer Love interviews Tyson Ducks. I should know this. I got Tyson. Hit me up the backside of the head next time I see you. Tyson Dukes, Saturday, February the 20th, 11:30 a.m. tomorrow for a YouTube premiere. So check that out. Tyson Dukes is one of the most gifted, talented independent wrestlers here in Canada. And he's also one of the most humble guys in the world. And, check that interview out, like I said, tomorrow morning, 11:30 by Spencer Love out there in Alberta. And then from there, our own interview. So Slugging with Stephen O'Neill. This past Tuesday came out on CWNonline.ca, featuring the one and only Holden Albright. So that was released this past Tuesday. Steven's done 5 so far. Apparently, he's got lots more in the works. I was talking to him last night. Excuse me. Apparently, he's loving it and loving being part of CWN. And maybe I'll have to have him on the show. Obviously, he's not going to be able to do a Friday at 3 p.m., I don't think, but I'll have to have him on the show just to get his thoughts on CWN as a whole and everything else. But he's doing good work, and props to you, Steven. And I never would have thought it, considering the banters that we've had back and forth on Fantasy Warfare sometimes. But I do appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to some more interviews there. So, guys, CanadianIndependentWrestling.ca, like I said, forward you to the group there on Facebook. 430 members strong, I do believe, as of today. And it's there to promote your gimmick, as well as your podcast, your promotions, anything that you got going on, streaming services as well. Like the only rule I have is to keep it clean, but it's coast to coast, from the Maritimes all the way to British Columbia and every place in between. So, guys, check that out, CanadianIndependentWrestling.ca. It is one of my babies I am proud of there. From there, we go into an important month in the month of February, which you've heard me talk about the past 2 shows, and it is Black History Month. And the focus for this week is the one and only David the Crow Loiseau. So, David Loiseau, born December 17, 1979, is a retired Canadian mixed martial artist from Montreal, Quebec. He's fought in the UFC, Elite XC, and TKO Major League MMA. He's a former TKO middleweight champion, former TPF middleweight champion as well. He was the first French-speaking Canadian to fight in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Loiseau has also played a gang member in French-Canadian movie La Rage de Lange. Sorry. Loiseau wrote and acted in a short film called Kislos, featuring hip-hop artist Impost and stand-up comedian Eddie King. To go on, David was born in Montreal, Quebec, to Haitian parents. He's expressed his concern for the people of Haiti and for his grandparents who were still residing in Haiti at the time of the earthquake in 2010. He's recently urged people to donate and help the country as much as they can. And then one of the biggest things as well, which I believe is that he was the first ever Black fighter for UFC. And I had read that. I'm just looking for to see if it's part of the Wikipedia article, if I'd read it for something else. But talks about his UFC career here as well on Wikipedia. So Loiseau made his UFC debut in April 2003 at UFC 42, defeating Mark Weir by KO. Later in the year, UFC 44, he lost in unanimous decision to Jorge Rivera. And then after going 2-1 in the TKO promotion, Loiseau returned to the UFC in 2005 with TKO wins of Gideon Ray, Charles McCarthy, and Evan Tanner. Then he lost back-to-back unanimous decisions in 2006 to Rich Franklin. There's an old school name, and Mike Swick. So it goes on to talk about him and his career. Obviously, as far as his professional record goes, 34 matches, 23 wins, 11 losses, 15 knockouts. So that's absolutely insane. So it looks like the last time he had fought was a loss, WSOF. So I think it's World Series of Fighting Canada, June 7th of 2014 in Edmonton. He ended up losing that one, but his last win was, according to Wikipedia here, so where are we here? Against Mike Kent, ECC 18, Road to Glory. October 25th, 2013, Halifax, Nova Scotia, won the ECC Light Heavyweight Championship. So a little bit more about David Le Crow, the Loiseau there. You can check him out actually right now with regards to what he's doing at crowtrainingcenter.com. So he's taken all the knowledge that he has and then basically, giving back, to new fighters, so to speak. So like I said, crowtrainingcenter.com, and just basically the tidbit here from his website. Crow Training Center offers a unique experience for athletes of all levels looking to reach their full potential through martial arts. From Muay Thai to boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, programs are tried and tested and are adaptable to all skills. So he's one of those big names I've always heard about as far as MMA, UFC goes. And, I reached out to him at one point, I almost want to say about 10 years ago, as far as doing an interview goes, and he was all for it. And I think just that time in my life, I didn't go through the interview. Confidence, I think, or whatever the case may be. But it's I just reaching out to him and him responding right back was kind of cool. But he's always been one of those names I've always heard about with regards to MMA. And I always thought the Crow, the nickname was cool as well. But like I said, this week, taking the time to recognize David the Crow Loiseau, and like I said, check him out, crowtrainingcenter.com for his website there. So guys, as far as CWN goes, as far as anything we've got coming up, obviously it's big weekend as far as the pay-per-view goes for Elimination Chamber. Not sure what to expect though with regards to the show, because the fact is with Asuka, her match, I'm not going to say in jeopardy, but not happening. There's no way in the world can happen. And, SmackDown taking place tonight, anything can change. I think they've only got 4 matches listed. But by, tonight after SmackDown's done through, going through the bump, which always takes place the day of the pay-per-view, we'll have more to it. But in saying that, CWN predicts WWE Elimination Chamber 2021 takes place live February 21st, this coming Sunday, 3 p.m., Facebook, Twitch, as well as YouTube. And then we've got CWN Recap WWE Elimination Chamber 2021 taking place February 21st, 10:15 p.m.-ish if I do the show that night. If not, it'll be on the Monday, but that'll be live Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Otherwise, it'll be premiering on the Monday on Facebook as well as YouTube. Sasha Banks is on Broken Skull Sessions after that, and I'm loving the series as far as Broken Skull goes. So it's tough to turn off the pay-per-view, to do this show and then have to backtrack because I am older. I don't stay as awake as much as I used to. So I probably 90% chance I'm going to end up watching the Sasha Banks interview and then doing CWN recap on the Monday. But I'll be doing predicts live this coming Sunday, February 21st at 3 p.m. And then the recap show for Elimination Chamber either be Sunday or the Monday, depending on what time the show ends. Next edition of CWN Weekly, episode 28, taking place February 26th, live at 3 p.m. That'll be Facebook, Twitch, as well as YouTube. CWN Weekly is on social media as well, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, as well as YouTube. So you can check us out there. So separate pages for just the show itself. Website, of course, cwnonline.ca. Our email address, as always, is this here. So feedback at cwnonline.ca. So any suggestions for the show, comments, any interviews you want to see me do in the future, what you think of my backdrops, what you think of my hat, and you really can't argue with the hat. It's I'll get to that just in a minute here, but feedback at cwnonline.ca is the best way to get in touch with the show, as well as at Chris Maloney CWN is the best way to get in touch with me as far as social media goes. So that's Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, as well as Reddit. And I'm trying to get on Reddit a little bit more. I've managed to get on TikTok a little bit more, but I'm trying to get on Reddit a little bit more. So, but guys, check me out at Chris Maloney CWN. So in saying that, with reference to the hat, 2021 NBA All-Star Game taking place Sunday, March the 7th. They've named their starters for the East and the West. So Kawhi Leonard starting for the West. And if you look on that side there, you'll see his stitched autograph, so to speak, with the number 2 from when he was playing with the Raptors. So I loved him when he was playing with the Raptors. I've actually got a poster as well, which I haven't put up yet, which I'm probably going to hang in my daughter's room eventually. And she'll ask questions and I'll be able to show her all the newspaper articles and that shot, and everything else. But good for him. He's starting for the West. On the East, though, the reserves haven't been officially announced yet. But Sportsnet.ca, and I agree with them, has predicted for Fred VanVleet, FVV, to be part of that reserve squad. And I'd love that, to be able to see Fred VanVleet play in the All-Star game, against Kawhi at one point. So I think that'd be cool as well. But that's the sports fan in me. Basketball, I love in the hat. Almost wore the Red Sox hat today, but with the NBA All-Star game coming up, I decided to go with the Raptors hat. Baseball, when I mentioned that, on Facebook, and a lot of my friends are Blue Jays fans, so they're talking about pitchers and catchers reporting. Obviously, the same thing happened with the Red Sox. So, once that happens, you'll see it kicking into full gear. The Sens kind of suck this year, and the Pats, anyways, so it is what it is. So go Raptors, hashtag We the North, and the All-Star game coming up, and I'm looking forward to it there. So guys, thank you very much for watching and listening. Again, check me out, Chris Maloney, CWN, as well as always check out the website, cwnonline.ca. I'll have some huge news coming up in the next month or so as far as what I've got in the works, as far as the website goes. But I'll put it this way. I'll say network. That'll be the only tease word I say is network. So we'll have to leave it at that. But guys, it's been fun. It's been great. I will see everybody this coming weekend for predicts as well as recap. And if not, I will see everybody next Friday for episode number 28. Is it 28 or 27? One of those two. Anyways, it's been a long show. So guys, I'll see everybody again sometime soon. Enjoy your weeks and take care.